Hello Keto Nation and welcome to our YouTube channel. This is Michael.
Hi, and I'm Maya.
And today we thought we'd talk a little bit about sweeteners. Now it's something like we all get to miss every now and then. It's like this beautiful sweet taste.
It's probably a big reason why we're here in the first place, with the weight.
Yeah, with the weight, like that sugar is what made us come here actually. So that's true, but that's true that sometimes we miss the sweet flavor. We miss that sugary taste when we're in keto. And we're getting this question a lot: is what do you use?
Yeah.
What do you take? What's your
What's
sweetener?
allowed? Yeah.
What's allowed? What's not allowed?
Yeah.
And let's go some science.
Yes.
Just like one line of science.
Well, the good news is you don't have to give it up completely.
Yeah, and in terms of sweetness.
Yeah.
But
having a sweetener.
A sweet taste, definitely.
Yeah.
So we want to define something called GI, or what stands for is glycemic index. Now, glycemic index simply is a number or a score given to carbohydrate, which compare it to glucose, and it compares the effect of that carbohydrate into your blood glucose. So if you take pure glucose, the effect that's going to have is 100, like 100. This is the score they give to glucose. This is 100. And
that's the baseline.
This is the baseline. And then depends on the different kind of food you're getting and how much carbs in it, and they measure the impact on your sugar glucose
in comparison
to glucose, and they give it a rate. So if something has more GI, that means it affects your blood glucose more than when taking just straight glucose.
Yeah.
If it goes lower, that means it's gonna affect you less than if you take pure glucose.
And obviously, from a health point of view, you want minimum blood sugar spikes. So low GI food.
Exactly. So when we go in keto, the lower GI is the better for us.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I think let's talk a little bit about what we cannot have in keto.
Historically, what we have been having.
Yeah, what's like the sugar.
Yeah.
What everyone refers to as sugar, or what we know as table sugar.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's the white stuff.
The white stuff. And it has a GI of 63.
That's really high.
It's high, right? It's messing you up. 63 to 70. This is the range that they're giving it, and it has around 380 calories per 100 gram.
Yeah.
So that's maybe sometimes you'll hear saying for each 1 gram of carb you'll have 4 calories.
Yeah.
So it's almost adding up.
Yeah.
Okay. But sugar is not the only name we can find that makes us sweet.
Yeah, I mean, ideally you won't be eating too much processed food anymore if you're doing keto strictly, but if you are, these are some names you need to look out for on the label, which is still sugar. So a really popular one is maltodextrin.
Yes.
It's used as not just a sweetener, but also as a filler in many things, even supplements, pills.
Yes, you find it everywhere.
Yeah. And it's basically sugar, right, Michael?
It's sugar. It's actually the GI is 110. So that's even like it spikes your sugar glucose more than glucose itself.
That's crazy.
It's too much, right?
Yeah.
And that's why during the 80s and they were giving it to athletes as an energy pill or as an energy drink. Like it's loaded because it gives that too much sugar. And they were all thinking like, okay, you should have too much sugar, too much carbohydrates to keep you running.
Yeah.
And they forget that fat is much better than that. But anyways, so yes, maltodextrin, you'll find it on almost so many labels hidden there.
And another big one, high fructose corn syrup.
Yes, this is another one. This is a beautiful, I think industry loves this one.
It's cheap, it's a byproduct.
Cheap. It's very cheap because it's a Japanese stuff. Japanese scientists who actually figured it out the first time.
Oh, okay.
And it has a GI of 68 to 70 something. So it is technically sugar.
Yeah.
It has too much effect in your blood sugar, and that's something very important. That's too much fructose.
Yeah.
And fructose, and maybe we can discuss this in somewhere else in different topics.
But it's basically fruit sugar.
The fructose, the fruit sugar, has this tendency to actually block your leptin sensitivity, and makes you feel hungry all the time.
Yeah,
And maybe that's why all these fast food stuff, they give you lots of unlimited drinks because that's too much fructose that makes you eat more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so be aware of high carb fructose syrup. It's really dangerous.
Or it might be HFCS. It might be
yeah, it might be shortened there.
Yeah.
Industry is getting really smart about hiding their sugars because they know people like us keep telling people stay away from sugar. So they're like, you know what?
We won't call it that.
We're not call it sugar. We're gonna call it something else. We're gonna put some other name. So one thing I found in the labels recently is lactose.
Yeah.
I started seeing lactose sneaking in lots of biscuits and lots of these products in the market.
And in milk, basically.
It is a milk sugar.
Yeah.
It's sugar. It's after all, it's sugar. It's a different name of sugar. But you start seeing it in different products now.
Yeah.
Like instead of putting sugar, you'll find lactose written
That's
there.
just crazy.
So it's a way of really hiding the fact that it has sugar. So that's why we always say you need to read the label. You need to read the ingredients. You need to check what you are having. It doesn't have any of this nasty stuff.
And the other two really common ones are dextrose and maltose. You'll see them as well. So if you see them on labels, especially if they're high up on the label. So when they label things, usually they list them from what is the most abundant in this ingredient to the less.
True.
So if it's the higher up as well, definitely don't.
Stay away.
Just stay away. Even if you're using a teaspoon, stay away.
So these are like the sugars and the stuff where we generally avoid in keto. They're too much high in carbs.
They'll take care of your account.
They will get you out of ketosis for like immediately.
Yeah.
Right? Then we have other stuff in keto that we can use.
Yeah. There's luckily there's a lot of natural sweeteners which we use, which are recommended, which we'll go through on the list.
I think when we refer to natural, it just means that they are taking them or extracting them from a natural plant.
Yeah.
They're all plant, most of them plant-based or
bacteria-based.
So one of the very famous ones is stevia.
Yeah.
Do you use stevia?
Yeah, I do. I use it in liquid form. I don't like it on its own because it's so sweet. If you go over it, it just gets really bitter.
Too sweet.
Yeah.
Stevia is like 300 times sweeter than the regular sugar.
Yeah, so you read
so damn sweet. So sweet.
So you have to really be careful how much you add. Like literally, if you can get the liquid, it's better. If you can get a few drops and then you can measure it.
It's more controllable.
Yeah, and it's also got less fillers and crap, which we'll go into in a second.
Yes, this is something important about stevia is that you need to look into the label when you're going to buy a stevia pack. Don't just, because the package outside says stevia, it means you're getting stevia. And this thing, like I fall into this one time, the first time I bought my stevia pack, I was like so much excited. Oh, I found stevia. And like I went home, I took the pack and I was reading. And then I was looking into the ingredients and it says like, it has stevionol, which is the scientific name of stevia. It has 1% or 1 point something percent.
Yeah.
And the remaining was basically just maltodextrin. So it's basically I was taking sugar.
Yeah.
With
20 times more for
I paid 20 times more just because it has 1% stevia into it.
So please read the label, guys.
Yeah, read the labels. You really need to make sure that you get the pure stevia, which is I know very tough to find. I'm not sure if in the UAE we can find any of this.
Well, you said you found it on GNC.
I found the liquid one.
Yeah,
the liquid one.
That's
but
the
I
ideal.
to find a stevia powder, pure stevia powder.
Yeah, I haven't seen it here.
I haven't seen it here. So if you see anything powder in a packet with stevia labeled,
check what's with it.
Most probably it's not stevia. Most probably it's just some stevia with bulking agent inside.
But the good news is, if you do find it, it's got a 0 GI.
Yeah, if you find it, let us know in the comments below because we are looking for that actually.
Yes, it would be very helpful.
Yeah. Another one that's really getting popular worldwide is something called monk fruit.
That's very natural.
It's very natural. Monk fruit is a fruit very well known in Asia. And it's been used for a very long time.
It has in China. Yeah.
It's like in China, they've been using it for a really quite a long time. It has a 0 GI. So again, it shouldn't mess up with your sugar.
But again, you'll find it with fillers. If you very rarely
most probably you'll find most of these are very expensive. Like I tried to look them online when they're like on its pure form. They're really, really expensive stuff. So if you find a pack with a reasonable price and it's with powder, like 99.9%, it is just a little bit of that with the
sweetness.
So please read the labels very, very carefully.
Yeah.
right? Other stuff, we have lots of other natural sweeteners coming up. Some of the new stuff like the allulose.
Yeah, that's very exciting. I really want to
the
get my hands on
inulin.
it.
These are like coming up. These are recent. People are just really start looking around. Like there are lots of sweetness in this world, and it's not all just glucose.
No.
Right?
No.
The other branch of sweeteners that we might use in keto is something called sugar alcohols.
Yeah. So they're not an alcohol. Don't worry.
Yeah. No alcohol. It's just the molecular structure of these sugars. That's why they call them sugar alcohols, because if you look into the molecule, it has one part that looks like an alcohol, the other part that looks like a sugar.
Yeah.
So when they look into it, they call it a sugar alcohol. But there's no alcohol in it, don't worry, it won't make you high. There's nothing. It's 100 perfect.
So one that you probably have heard of is erythritol.
Yes.
That's the well-known one, and xylitol. But erythritol is the better one to use, and the one we recommend.
For us, this is what we recommend. Is
very low GI.
It's erythritol. The GI is 1 or less, so that means it's almost it almost has no.
You can count it as low carb.
Yeah, it has 20 calories per 100 gram.
Yeah, it's very
if I compare it to the table sugar, it's just 400.
Yeah.
So there's
big
almost
difference.
there's almost no calories to count. The important thing to keep in mind about erythritol is that it might actually hurt your digestive system.
Oh, yeah.
It might really get you some gases.
Yeah, but should we tell them why it might do that?
It might do that because simply.
I mean, the way they work.
Yeah.
Sugar alcohols.
Erythritols and sugar alcohols generally is something that our body cannot handle very well. You know, we can taste them. They can give us this sweet taste, but once they go in our digestive system, we don't have the mechanisms to break them down and actually use the energy in them.
Which is why they get counted as.
So they just pass through us. Yeah, they just pass through us, and we don't absorb them. There's no absorption happening. So having all this kind of sugar alcohols in the digestive system, not digested, might actually cause a reaction.
Yeah, if you have too much in one go.
Especially if it's too much.
Yeah.
And especially if you're new to it.
Yeah.
Like I would say, start with little amounts of erythritol and start increasing gradually.
Yeah.
So that you're gonna teach your digestive system that this thing might pass through here regularly.
Yeah.
So no need to freak out. But
I've done that in the past where I've had too much and I know because I'm
you
running to the toilet.
You'll run to the toilet immediately. So be careful with erythritol.
Go easy.
Go
all
easy.
the sugar alcohols really.
Go easy.
Yeah.
The other famous one is the xylitol.
Yeah.
It's a good one. The xylitol is famous. It's used in so many keto baking and so many keto.
It's actually sweeter than erythritol
as
well.
Sweeter than erythritol.
So you can use it as 1-to-1 ratio.
Yes, actually, erythritol is 70% sweeter, like a sweetness to sugar.
So you might need a bit more to match.
Xylitol is sweeter.
Yeah.
Both of them work very fine as bulking in baking, especially.
Exactly. That's what they use for a lot.
Like if you're gonna bake something, you want usually the sugar, the natural sugar, tends to help in getting the air, helping the moisture content to stay sticking in the. So if you have a recipe and you want to replace the sugar, going for erythritol or xylitol might give you a good result in the baking processes.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's a big but in here.
For xylitol.
You have to be careful about the counting of carbs for it. Now, there's so many people who would get different reactions to it.
Yeah.
We're not all the same. But xylitol has a GI of 13, so compared to erythritol, which is 1, it's a little bit higher. And it has 240 calories per 100.
So it's getting much closer to sugar.
Half. See, remember, sugar is almost 400, and that's almost 250. So around 50% or 55%. And that's where so many times you'll see us saying that when you're counting xylitol,
the carb count,
when you see xylitol in your food, you have to count half of it as net carb.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if we break that down and just go through a label, what does that actually mean? So for example, if you have a chocolate bar which is flavored with xylitol as the sweetener, so let's say it has 10 grams of carb listed there. So out of the 10, you would count 5 grams of carb
if
as
these
your carb
10,
count.
they were mentioned as polyols, and this is what the name they actually use in the labels.
Yeah.
This, you say
Sweetened by polyols.
yeah, they'll say carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Let's say 10 grams,
Yeah.
and say of which sugar 0,
Yeah.
polyols 10.
Yeah.
So the polyols are referred to the sugar alcohols. Yes, if now usually on this list they will not mention what is the polyol they're using. You
No.
have to go down to the ingredient list.
Yeah.
And when you read that, if you find it's using xylitol, then take that number and divide it by 2.
And use that as your carb count.
And you add this to your net carb of the day.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. One point to keep in mind with xylitol for the dog lovers.
Yes.
Please, xylitol is toxic to dogs, so like keep this in mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Best not to use it really.
Yes.
If
Yeah.
you have pets in the house.
Yeah. Better to avoid it just for the sake of these pets. You don't want to hurt them because you want some sweet. The last group, which we don't like much.
No, artificial. Dun, dun, dun.
These are the no-nos for us.
Yes.
These are like really man-made, either by accident or by design.
But in a lab, they don't occur in nature.
They don't occur naturally. They are just made out of chemicals. Some of the famous ones are the sucralose, aspartame, and saccharin. These are like very famous ones. Some of them have been like for almost 100 years now.
Yeah, aspartame. Yeah,
it's like
been a while.
really long time.
So those are things you'll find in your diet drinks: Diet Coke,
Yes.
Coke Zero.
You'll find them in most of these 0 calories.
That's the sweetener they use.
things. Usually use aspartame. Also the gums, the 0 sugar. Usually when you see 0 sugar, be careful. There might be lots of artificial sweeteners in there.
I mean, if you want to Google and find out, research why they're bad for you, please go ahead. There's lots of studies.
Yes, there's lots of studies, and most of them are now referring to the health of the brain and links to cancer. So they're generally chemicals, so stay away from them. We have more natural alternatives, so we can actually use these natural alternatives. They will help you. One point very important I want to bring here with using sweeteners and why we say you don't need to use them regularly is that they will actually drag you back to sugar.
Yeah.
And this happened to me, and maybe I have to share this with you guys. Like when I had my birthday, I had a beautiful keto cake.
Yeah, we saw
which was sweetened completely with erythritol and stevia. Right? There's no sugar inside there. And I get a big chunk, to be honest. It was tasty. I did in a little bit. Now, the next morning, when I went back to eat during my lunch, I was craving sugar.
Yeah.
I was looking into the sweets section. I was like, that's appealing. You know, and this is something that doesn't happen to me regularly.
Yeah.
Usually, I don't even think about the sweets. I don't even think should I take sweets after my lunch?
Yeah, that's not good.
Taking that piece of cake actually kicked that craving back into my brain, and that's maybe why we say for people who are starting with keto, you know, avoid sweeteners as much as you can.
Yeah.
They will stop. They will become as a barrier. They will get you slower to reach to your goals. They are there to. Like for emergencies, I always say. I call them emergency for emergency
That's
cases.
a good word for it, yeah.
Yeah, when you really need to it. When you have an occasion, when there's that time when you really want to get something sweet, or you're taking something that's really bitter and you want something to help you with the sweetness, but not a staple. Yeah. Not something that you should take it.
Agreed. Plus they cost a lot, to be honest.
Cost a lot.
They're quite expensive. Yeah.
They are. Truly there.
But I also wanted to add one more thing. So you can get obviously powdered stevia or powdered monk fruit, and they come with a filler. Try to get just erythritol as the filler, nothing else.
Yes, you can find some mixes, and in the group I actually shared the one I use. It's a mix of erythritol and stevia, so there's nothing else. It's just erythritol and stevia, which would be okay. Yeah. It gets to 1-to-1 as ratio as into sugar.
Yeah. So if you can't get the liquid form, don't panic. You can get that as the next best option.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So have a sweet day today. don't overdo it, and enjoy your keto life. So guys, if you like what you saw today, please subscribe, share, and put some comments. Hit the like button, please. Yeah, give us the thumbs up, and leave comments down. Let us know what you think, and
Yeah.
if you have any topics you want us to cover or
Let us know.
anything you want to discuss, please let us know,
Yeah.
and we'll cover it in the next videos.